Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, February 18th, and this is virtual lunch number 503. Our guest today is Tammie Garner, the Senior Director of Professional Development at Jackson Lewis, and this is part of our continuing series on superior legal writing with Brief Catch. Hi, Tammie. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm great. It's so nice to see you. I feel so lucky that we get to see each other in this forum, and I am grateful for your participation in the virtual lunch. Tammie, let's start. Just tell us about your background and your role at Jackson Lewis.
Sure. So I actually started as a summer associate and then spent many years being a litigator at Goodwin Procter. After my first year of law school, I got to work for BU General Counsel's office, which was an awesome experience. By the way, I got a little taste of in-house counsel work before I went to a big law firm to practice law, which I did for 7 years. And then I had an opportunity to become Goodwin Procter's first knowledge management lawyer for litigation. So I eventually ended up going to Nutter, McLennan Fish, where I was able to be a full-time PD person. I started out as a legal training manager for all the departments, but then became their first director of professional development as well. And that's really where I also was able to develop a professional development system. We did really amazing things there. I had been as well working as an adjunct professor for BU School of Law, where I taught legal research and writing in addition to all this good stuff. So it's been a great ride. I was able to then move to New York and have been working at Jackson Lewis, where I am their first director of professional development, and I'm also building out their professional development system and training, learning development, and all those great things. So that's what I'm doing now. When I was at Goodwin, that was my first exposure to, as I said, professional development. I didn't even know what that meant, and really learned, and really through PDC conferences and different opportunities to get exposed to other firms and other ways in which people were delivering professional development. I would say we were really thinking about it from a competency-based, level-based structure. That was innovative at the time, at least for me and the firms that I was working with, because we really hadn't approached professional development in such an intentional, structured way. It's not just mainline, it's baseline. That is the foundation of what we need to do to ensure that all of our attorneys are consistently building the skills they need to develop at each stage of their career, and that it's really connected holistically to their development and meeting their career goals. What's changed since then, because that's baseline, it's now much more of a focus on how do we really move the needle? How do we actually impact behavior and improve ourselves within those frameworks that we've established for attorney development? So that's where we're seeing much more interest in coaching and in well-being in particular, or really thinking about it also through that DEI lens, really holistically understanding how all these things are connected so that we're really building the whole lawyer and approaching our work in a sophisticated way that actually adds value and is sustainable long-term. The most recent challenges have been this shift to hybrid work, if not all on remote. But I will say it actually worked out to be an advantage for us at Jackson Lewis because we are so geographically dispersed and we have 63 plus offices all over the country. We needed to operate virtually anyway, at least in terms of our professional development programming and our training. So it really was just a question of now what do we do when there were certain events or certain ways in which we operated that was very valuable to be in person. How does that translate into the virtual world? So we've navigated that. I would say that does remain to be the big question in terms of where we're headed going forward. But one of the opportunities here is frankly getting people to really take advantage of the training that we offer, whether it's for the technology. We actually had really great response to training around virtual deposition taking, things that you would try to get people to show up for in a live setting that they needed to know and frankly may not have been comfortable doing before in a remote setting. So you're also through that getting people really comfortable with WebEx or Zoom or these other platforms and that sort of thing. We've invested a lot in different resources that allow everybody access to tools that will make us more efficient and more productive. which is also really beneficial, not just professional needs, but frankly for our well-being, because the more productive that we can be in less time saves us time that hopefully we can use for other things besides work. I know what it was like to be a law student and to not have been given the type of training that really would have helped me practice law. I'm a first generation law student. So I also really credit the work that I'm doing now to my experience starting out, not having the guidance that would have been incredibly helpful for me to be successful in law school, but also in the practice. So it's one of those things where also having been a first year associate, and you just learn the hard way if you don't have somebody in this professional development role, identifying the skills that you need and really supporting you and providing the guidance that you can get through mentoring and those sorts of things. I will say we've been doing a lot of work recently in just developing EQ. So it really is that skill set that, in addition to critical thinking skills, both of those areas are ways that we can really distinguish ourselves as professionals from some of the automated tools that are out there, that some of the other work that we do becomes so rote that if we can really think about how we're adding value to our clients or the work that we're doing internally on our teams, it's going to be through really deep thinking, critical thinking, bespoke work, which also should be aligned with EQ. How are we really listening better and understanding the needs and then applying that which we know either ourselves or about our firm and the resources we have to bring to bear to reach those client solutions. The expectations or the definition of what is professional has probably changed a little because of the pandemic, but it's maybe even more important that we address explicitly what we mean when we talk about professional development and how you are presenting yourself with clients, with others, whoever it is, right? Because there's certainly a level of professionalism and respect that goes along with the way in which you're presenting yourself, whether it's for your profession or for the person that you're engaging with and is your client. The hard part for me is how do you really teach that? Nobody likes the whole HR policy that just says, this is what you're supposed to wear and here's what you're not supposed to wear. That doesn't really change behavior. And that, again, it's where I find having a mentoring relationship or even an opportunity to talk more formally about professionalism or some of these professional essential skills. And that's one of the things we do for our new associates. We have our summer associates, for example, we just have for 10 weeks. So we've replicated this for our new associates for a 10-week virtual program where they show up, we put them into small groups where we're meeting virtually weekly, and we expect them to watch a little pre-video work that we've actually been using the law firm e-learning videos because they address in the law firm context how to work effectively with multiple managers or supervisors. It's a way in which we can tee up a social meeting, which is all it really is. It's a very informal meeting that we all have and talk about that subject. And we will often invite a guest speaker who totally gets it and understands how you're supposed to dress and talk and use your skills to be really effective at what you do. And we try to get at it that way. So people also don't feel offended or defensive or any of those things, because you do also just have to think about how you talk about it to, in fact, get people to reach that conclusion for themselves rather than just mandating it, which we can try. And I do think you still need to have some parameters. What is the overall message that we want to give our new attorneys, and frankly, any attorney that is working at Jackson Lewis? And I come at it from, we want you to be your authentic self. We welcome who you are because you are different from each and every person here. And the more different players we have, the better we're going to be.
Tammie Garner, everybody. Thank you so much. And thanks, of course, to Reef Catch for supporting this series on superior legal writing. Wonderful conversation, Tammie. We really appreciate it.